Hopefully audio, visual, all that's working. Get into some drawings today. Something different though. We're gonna do a little struggle sesh. A little struggle sesh. Open up a new program. It's all the kids. All the kids. Hey, Danny. All the kids. This is a quick one. We're gonna try and see what I can learn in an hour on a new program. This is Clip Studio Paint. All the cool kids are using it. And unlike Painter 2023, this program actually gets updated every once in a while. Also fairly pleased that I found somewhat of an analog of my I'm not busy today. No, and so when I'm not busy, first thing I do is pay attention to what the wife and kids need. You know, what's the, you know, so I, like today I had to call a credit card company, you know, to approve something. Very little was needed today. So then I did a bunch of chores because my wife is a working professional, so we do a fair amount of just splitting the household chores, and there's plenty of those. So I did those. Yeah. So there's no like you're the breadwinner and I do the other stuff, you know, kind of a arrangement. But my wife had the day off today. She takes Wednesdays off on occasion. And so she was doing a lot of the kids stuff, and that allowed me to have this window to do a little streaming. And this is just going to be me to mess around. We'll do a study of something and just see what it looks like. And because I don't want to do Street Fighter right now, because we just the Street Fighter stuff needs to, if I can, I want to keep that consistent with the, yeah. You got to have a good partner in life, or else, well, you know, I've had a girlfriend who was a decent enough person, but sort of like not a great partner, and she was sort of like a boat anchor. It was so like you get used to that. And then immediately after she broke up with me, I met my wife and we hit it off. And when I got with her, it was like, boom, it was like off to, all of a sudden we're in like sixth gear. I was stuck in first gear with that other girl. You know, sometimes you have to stay with somebody, and sometimes you don't. You know, good lesson to learn. All right, let me think here. Metroid. I'm just gonna type Metroid. All right, here we go. So Danny, sometimes if like you're starting a new project, that can be a good reason to try out a new tool as well. Like I don't have to be... If I do Metroid art, it doesn't have to be anything consistent with what I've done before. These are cool. This looks cool. The look of some of this stuff. You feel Sexter coming soon? I hope so. I'm always surprised anybody can make any time to hang out. Do coloring studies in the future? Could mess around with some of that. Hold on, I have to turn my phone off so it goes back to screening calls. It's a crazy world we live in where it's like, we've got these phones, but we can't use them to make calls because the phones are now just the tool of the telemarketers. And essentially, the last thing you want to do is be on the phone with somebody. Okay. So like, I've really never used this program to like really draw anything. I just messed around with it a little bit before to see if I could get a pen tool situation that felt natural. I finally found something. And some of this is just the default tool and some of this is tweaked. But I'm going to sort of see how far I can get while treating it a little bit like a... like, can I just do my normal thing and have it look good? Let's see. So I'm going to do a study of like this first pose over here. I neglected to, so let's do the line of action. Make sure that's accurate. Accurate enough. The Metroid suit is so interesting. I've never drawn it before. It's got these... got this funny helmet with these big balls grafted on the side of it. And so far this is feeling nice. I really do feel like... what's it? Clip Studio Paint? Sorry, I thought this was like Comic Studio Pro or something. They keep changing the name, or maybe I'm confused, but this will be a good candidate for a painter replacement. The day will come. It's just a matter of time before I innocently allow my Mac OS to update, and then when it does, Painter won't work for whatever reason, and after that it will never work because they don't update that program anymore, and it's like show's over for Painter at that point. And if I don't have some sort of working knowledge on a replacement kind of workflow replacement system, I'll regret it. I'm glad I got my phone for when I got ideas I can sketch. Yeah, it's helpful in a way. It could be good and bad, especially for kids. Yeah. I do feel some differences in how it's handling, but it isn't handling bad at all. I want to feel like I can make a masterpiece when I sit down, or that I'm not fighting the tools, and I don't feel like I'm fighting it. Just a few things it feels like I might have to get used to. Oh, and so the other major advantage to switching over to Clip Studio Paint is that if I have my settings correct, and I think I do, or whatever they're at their defaults, it should be recording like the playthrough, right? So this way, like if I make a masterpiece, I'll just automatically have like a really cool time lapse. Proportions are looking decent. It would be awesome if I could post a lot of that. Yeah, and like, yeah, this isn't like a perfect one-to-one with the brush I had in Painter, but the brush I used in Painter was not a perfect brush. I just got so used to it that, you know, I was able to make it do amazing things. But I'll figure out a way to do it here too. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm very relieved that other programs have seemingly got the memo on, yeah, your brush needs to have dynamic tilt and size variations, and it's like, okay, there's a safe harbor for me out there. It might be this, it might be like, if I always thought the most obvious thing would be if Procreate would create a desktop version. Procreate's brushes are very good, but it has some issues with some of the brushes. Like, it wasn't a perfect solution. One of the best solutions I found was actually on what's that program? Adobe Fresco, which is on the iPad, but I don't use my iPad for art. I let my kids use it for art, and I use it for a camera for my streaming setup, because it's got a nice camera. Works well in the dark. So we can see this study coming along pretty well, and I'm just using my same method I always do. Get the line of action, find those major form abstractions, primitive shapes. And then focusing on orientation in space, like, okay, where is this one pointing to? Where's that one pointing to? I'm always aware about how much angles matter. Like the angle of the arm going into space. What's that angle? If you keep your angles accurate, then the proportions actually take care of themselves. If your proportions are off, it's probably a size thing, but it always follows that if your proportions are off, your angles are also off. But if your angles are always correct, then your proportions are always correct. And it's actually easier to double check for your angles than it is proportions. I should do a demo on how and why that works. But suffice to say for now that when I do the line of action, that's a really important way of like anchoring the angle of the figure. And if you don't get that pretty much right, everything is just going to fall apart a little bit. If you're bad with proportion, you can get away with it in cartoons. Yeah, cartoons, you embrace the language of distortion, and all that is super important. A lot of it's not that important. Like I always say, like, distortion is your friend for making like an interesting drawing. But if you are trying to make something look realistic, you end up having, well, it's like something where you don't want people to get caught up on how something looks. It's just sort of like in storyboarding, for instance, when I'm like drawing like a school teacher giving a lesson or something, you know, it's not a, you don't always want things looking extreme and distorted. Okay, so this looks like a cool start. Now, here's where I'm going to run into stuff is I don't know what any of these buttons do. What does this do? New raster layer? I guess that's what I need. I want to do a layer on top of this that I can add some detail into. Should I zoom into it a little? Yeah. I feel like part of what this will be, this little bit of practice, is where do I find myself struggling to... Where am I getting caught up? Does the system start to lag if I keep it open more than 10 minutes or whatever? Like where are the breaking points? What just happened there? Okay, back to the sketch tool. Okay, so that's a cool tool. Let's try this one. Oh, this has like charcoal. This is a cool effect too. Let me go back to this one though. Maybe a little bit darker. See what we can do as far as layering in a little line art details. Now that we have the proportions basically there. I think there's some sort of smoothing algorithm being applied to some of the strokes. They're a little bit I haven't had to do a lot of undoing from like wild strokes. I don't know if that's something the program is helping me with or if it's just feeling good, you know. I don't know. Can I make the reference bigger? I think so. How's that? You see, it's pretty decently on track. It's an interesting pose. Samus is a girl, so she's jumping away from this this alien over there. They do a lot of these. The Metroid design, gotta give it props for having a very distinctive, very ownable, as we say, very well owned, very recognizable character design. Very versatile, sort of withstands reinvention. Stays recognizable even if you change it. So one thing I'm realizing is I kind of made a small image. I didn't do a very high resolution design. So I'll have to watch for that. Next time I do this, I'll make sure I make a bigger picture. But maybe later on we'll try out the resizing abilities, the up-resing, you know, how smarter its resizing algorithms and stuff. This is literally the first time I've drawn anything in this program. And the fact that I'm not tearing my hair out, like doing this on stream, like crazy. But I like to live dangerously. I guess like it's not as like crucially important for me, but like it's actually possible now because this program is so much more popular and affordable that like if someone is like, hey Max, what brushes are those? Can I have those brushes? You know, I'd be like, you know, donate a taco on my Discord and then I'll give them to you, you know. Whereas like my painter brushes, people would ask about those and it was always just sort of like an awkward dead-end conversation because I'm like, I can't, they're not Photoshop compatible. Painter is not a program that I'd recommend to anybody. Sort of stuck, right? They send a champagne for those brushes, yeah. Well, these brushes did not take me long to set up, and I don't see any reason to be precious about them. My painter brushes, I'll be precious about. Those were long and hard fought to like figure out something that worked that well in that program. And they helped me along when I needed a lot of help at the beginning of my career. Now I don't feel as, well, if anything, I can see that, like, artists, even if they constitute, you know, a competitive threat, the greater threat is the AI thing. Artists need to have good tools. And, yeah, for the price of a taco, you too can draw like Max. It's feeling good. I guess I should save, right? So, does it do iterative saving? Okay, it is recording the time lapse. That's cool. So let's just save. The file format is .clip. That's interesting. It's like new. When you do new things, like, it really stimulates your brain. Or you do familiar things, but in different way. Like, I don't know. This is cool. It's cool for me. It's like being... it's like you go to a... like you go to... well, I don't know. It's like you go to Trader Joe's, but it's not your neighborhood Trader Joe's. It's like the Trader Joe's like 3 towns over. So it's familiar, but it's different, you know? You're like, oh, that's a different way. Yeah. But then it's still familiar enough. You're totally not disoriented by anything. I'm more disoriented by my own file structure right now. Okay, we're just gonna call this Metroid folder Metroid 1. And just hopefully it saves. Hopefully everything goes easy. So far so good, but like with a good rough sketch start, like everything else should just go easy. Within the framework of this rough sketch, we can embrace not perfection, but even further kind of happy accidents. That human touch gives it a lot of life. AI can stay away for sure, for sure. I was pleased when I heard, who knows if this stuff will stay this way, but the Procreate, at a time when like Adobe was like AI and everything, you know, whether you like it or not, here's our shitty updated terms. Procreate went the absolute opposite direction and was like praised by artists, and I was very pleased about that. Super proud of what I accomplished so far. Good. I mean, you're talking about on your phone, right? you can get, it's funny how much you can get done with it, with just in general with everything. I am also very proud of you for, a lot of people just talk about projects and then they never actually do them. I'm kind of like that myself. Like, I have vague ideas for projects that, that I'm a little embarrassed that I've, you know, not really pursued. Even what I'm doing right now, it's like, you know, to an extent, this is just an extension of the work I do for money, like drawing other people's IPs and making them look good. I'm the Knight popping in. Say hi. Wish you a good stream. Can't stay. Much love and positive vibes your way. To you as well. Thank you. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Sticking with it. Sectra is here. Thank you for joining in. Legend himself. Oh, I mentioned you. Yeah, so this is people might not have caught it at the top of the stream, but I'm drawing in Clip Studio Paint. Yeah. This is my first time drawing in this program. I've opened it up before just to muck around with the brushes. This was on it wasn't on a stream, it was unstreamed, but it was I had previously espoused that I needed to find a program other than Painter and practice at it, and that could be streamable content as well. So this is kind of what we're doing right now. We only have an hour, so I can, you know, just get some sketches in, but this is actually Donald in the Discord chat yesterday was talking about, you know, you got to do such and such and such, and I was like, yeah, you know, and a lot of what is sort of not great about my process and all this other stuff is the program that I'm using and its inability to do a lot of the stuff that other programs do, and other people use those programs like Clip Studio Paint or Procreate. You can generate really polished looking time lapses from the get-go, like by default, and get interesting content that way that resonate with people, you know? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm only doing it an hour today. Mostly for the reason that my wife has the day off today, and it'll be a bad look if I, you know, for my own enjoyment, I want to hang out with my family. But right now she's out running errands, and I gave her a heads up that I would stream while she was out, and then not when she comes back, so. Part of having a good partner is a little bit of like, I guess for me, because I'm like a gaming guy. I love games. Like, well, whatever. I love video games. Like, if it was just me all day, I'd probably just play video games all day. But that's not productive, very much so. So, like, video games are a better habit than probably half the stuff I actually get into. But but weirdly, you know, of all the bad habits or habits I could have that she would not approve of. It's like the drinking, she totally turns a blind eye to. But the, you know, if I like fired up my old PlayStation or something, she would be super annoyed. And that's just because one of her old boyfriends was like a video game addict and it traumatized her. And knowing that was, you know... It's interesting. But as someone who really doesn't play video games anymore, the amount of time I have available as a result of that is pretty considerable. I'm not sure. It's not like it's a life hack or anything like that, but simply by not playing video games, you can kind of find a lot of time to pick up other pursuits and cultivate hobbies and talents and stuff like that. So it's I'm not like I'm a man who is you know, I often give in to my own vices, you know, with like, cool, I'm gonna drink a bunch or something like that. But like I'll do it when I'm drawing, you know. it's you can't play video games and draw at the same time. I guess that's the thing I'm trying to say. So if you're gonna try to make a career out of one, you know, give up the other or something. I don't know. That's like a silly thing, but and here I am like drawing video game characters, but like this is the compromise essentially. Hey Charity, welcome. Charity, I'm trying a new drawing program and it's going decently well, and I'm excited about that because it will my complaints about the other program I use, Painter, are myriad and yeah, it's change needs to come, and it might be sooner than later. So this is me taking another program for a test drive, and it's going really well. Very pleased about that. And this is in case people might not know, this is just doing some studies from some official Metroid game art. I think it's official Metroid game art. Yeah, this is Samus. Yeah, we're it's just something different where, and like the sort of like robotic figure, like, because I'm sort of challenging myself with a new subject, because right now I'm trying to do like a series of like Street Fighter stuff. Super Metroid was the first game I ever stayed up all night to finish. So when Super Metroid came out, or any of the Metroids, you have to understand, like, well, I think you're like my age, or at least of my generation, but but like agreed that like if you didn't have a guide, or you weren't really putting in serious hours to these games, like, I don't know, it's like sort of impossible labyrinths. I played some of the original Metroid on the NES, and it was, you're 39. Okay, so I'm 42. So not a huge difference there, obviously, but so we would have essentially grown up with the same games. Like, for all my talk, like, I'm not particularly good at video games, you know. I'm good at drawing, you know, but I'm not like some people are just like amazed, like, oh, I can just pick up Double Dragon and beat it and stuff. And I was like, no, that's not me. I needed like the Game Genie and stuff like that. And then it's like, it's not a bad analogy, but like AI is kind of like the Game Genie, where it's like you're not going to develop video game skills by using those kinds of tools. You're going to get to a quicker finish, like a quick ending, and spare yourself all the pain and frustration, but you're also going to spare yourself all the knowledge of what it takes to actually be excellent at that game. and you'll have a. I'm trying to turn over in my head this phrase I came up with, but it's you're making the wrong sacrifice if you use those kinds of tools. So like Game Genie was something I used to beat Super Mario Brothers 3. I just couldn't advance in the game, and I wanted to see how it ended, so I used Game Genie on that. And I finally saw how it ended. I was super happy about that. But it's like as soon as you do that, like the game becomes different. It's like, I don't know. It feels like cheating because it is, and if all you care about is getting to the end and getting it over with, then maybe that's the way to go. But I'm not something I would advocate for. I love how this is looking. It feels like it's me. I feel like my style is coming through. My sketch process still. I didn't have to like make huge compromises getting this to look. I'm your sister's age. Okay, yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think I look bad for 42 either. Most people look at my brother, who is 7 years younger than me, and think he's the older one, because he has very pronounced gray in his hair, like a Doctor Strange look, and my hair is, except on my face, which I shaved today because it's so embarrassingly gray. It ages me up way too much, but. You'll be 40 in November. What's your are you a Scorpio? My son and I are both Scorpios. I almost never used the Game Genie, but we had it. Just, I don't know, it didn't feel right. It's just not the way to go, you know. So anyway, but like as a person who was not great at video games, it did feel as if it was like the only way to achieve what I felt I would never get unless I did use it. Because putting in the time didn't feel like an option. And then you're a Scorpio and so is your son. All right, there you go. But yeah, my shouldn't talk about specific birthdays on stream, but I thought it was funny that my son ended up being a Scorpio because he has such a late birthday for a Scorpio. And it's like, it's funny because it's like, I don't really believe in astrology. But then I sort of reflect, I'm like, but why do all my ex-girlfriends like have a birthday in the same week? And I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to this stuff. It feels like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, astrology doesn't mean anything. And you're like, man, all of my friends have their birthdays like right after each other, like right in a row. Or it's like, oh yeah, you have the same birthday as my dad, or you have the same birthday as my mom, you know? I don't believe in astrology either, but it always matches up. So it's like where I sort of excuse it is sort of like, well, there's got to be something interesting that mathematically or whatever happens. Like, I don't think the planets, you know, dictate our futures necessarily, but, you know, I am sort of like a philosophical predeterminist, it's kind of, and that, what can you say about the coincidences where it's like, oh yeah, and, it turns out all my favorite celebrities are, well, not all the favorite celebrities, but, you know, when you find out you share a birthday with somebody and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Or like a crazy event happens on your birthday or something, right? You're a horrible Scorpio, you're none of the stereotypical things. I feel like Scorpios get a bad rap. But but like, oh, the, you know, but I'm like, I also don't feel like I'm beating the Scorpio allegations, and then I see some of those interesting traits in my son, and it's sort of like, okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, no one ever guesses you're a Scorpio. That's interesting. People, when they find out I'm a Scorpio, they're always like, oh, that clicks. You know, I'm like, what did I do? You know, but anyway. Okay, so I feel like this was a good little sketch study. That's cool, right? The only accurate thing is the RBF. What is RBF? I'm not sure if I know what that means. Where's the move tool on this thing? Oh, you're too nice? Okay. You're too nice to be a Scorpio. Ah, uh-huh. So somewhat related, but the resting bitch face. Somewhat unrelated, but related is the phenomenon of the because we live next to Universal, not next to Universal, but Universal Studios is like 5 minutes away. That's where my Talbot, what's up? My wife and daughter are at Universal right now, trying to squeeze in one last ride before they pick up my son from preschool. Well, anyway, we were at Universal. I needed a hat, and the Slytherin hat was calling to me, and so I got it anyway. But not trying to, because I used to look like Harry Potter when I was a kid. So shouldn't I be Gryffindor, right? But it's a running gag that my children and my wife were unanimous in deciding that no, Daddy's Slytherin. He's definitely Slytherin, and just something about those traits, I guess, come through with me. I don't know. I'm embracing it because I'm in my villain arc now, but it is a fun sort of side astrological idea, like what Harry Potter house you're in, what order you're in, I guess. Here we go. Now we're gonna try like one more pose and get it started. See what happens. Should I keep them all in one image? I guess so. Just see what happens. I'm going to study this middle one. Very iconic. This one will be challenging. It's the symmetrical kinds of poses that are very difficult. It's amazing how the power dynamic with kids can be. Go to bed, but also, I'm a fairy princess. Yeah. Alright, here we go. New brush. Okay. No, that's not it. Okay, this is it. Try a new layer. Yeah, so trying out new brushes, new program, new program, new brush, new interface. Okay, where we have to. So this is tricky. Crouching poses like this, it's like impossible to get what I would call like a typical approach to the line of action, but it's still super important. Just to orient it, like in my mind and in space. So I'm just going to draw up and down line because, okay. My wife texted me they are going to the preschool now. So I'm going to quit out at 3. That's in like 15 minutes. We'll see how far we get. I'm liking this program. This is Clip Studio Paint. At this point, I would say I would endorse this program, at least for sketching. I want to see what else it can do. If it can handle a lot of other stuff, I will be empowered to quit my addiction to Painter and Photoshop, and that'll save me a not small sum of cash, just in essentially yearly fees and dues that I... There are some parts of my workflow, my process, that right now are very heavily reliant on the brushes that I use in Painter and some of the actions and procedures that I use in Photoshop. And Photoshop is very sort of standard, so despite the fact that I hate Adobe, it's helpful to be able to unproblematically open documents that I'm given that are Photoshop generated and stuff. But okay, right now I'm doing what I shouldn't do, which is like adding details to a form before I've added all the other forms. So let's break out of that now. Think about proportion. Gotta make sure we're doing everything in the right order. Because mostly if you find you're making mistakes with your drawing, it's usually about skipping steps. You sort of skip that step. The step where you would have caught that mistake, you skipped it. Maybe you were in a hurry. And it's like, we're in a hurry too, but if we make mistakes, that's just going to slow us down. Nothing's riding on this. We don't have to have anything to show for it. It's cool if we do, but we don't have to. Thank you, Talbot. I'm glad you were able to join in. I know it's been a while. Danny's out of here. Gonna sketch around on my phone. Got some ideas. Good. Everybody, keep working on your cool projects. When this is done, I'll post the. It's cringe, but I'll make like I'll see what it looks like. If it's halfway decent, I'll make like a YouTube short or something out of it. I've done that sort of thing before. Very wasp-wasted. When you finish, so I can see how this looks when it's done. Okay. This is great game art. The other day, I think maybe it was just yesterday, I was watching one of those like angry video game nerd episodes. I'd seen it before, of course, but it was like it was essentially one of those bad game art videos, and the original Mega Man's, like the North American release of the original Mega Man was really, really bad game art. And boy, I could make a stream just analyzing everything that went wrong in that thing. It would be fun to do a little case study, analyze and maybe fix some things. See what it would look like if they gave me the assignment to say, we hired this guy, we don't like the way it looks, you know, what can you do? On occasion, I'll get like a job that is like that. So it becomes, okay, so here we've made a mistake. And I'm going to undo a bit of this. Let's see how far we can undo. So essentially the mistake is that we can see that the angle of this leg is way too up and down, whereas in the reference, it's really pulled back. And it's not like it looks bad, but if I'm trying to adhere to what is really happening there, then I kind of want to, I want to do a good study, right? And so we haven't gone too far. We can fix it. Somewhere here feels a little more accurate. If you, only because I was talking earlier about if you get your angles right, the proportions take care of themselves. It would have been the case that trying to correct for that mistake, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to change the angle, but you kind of have to, or else you're going to end up changing the proportions, or you're not going to do, you know, a very faithful study. But this all looks about right. The, ooh, I guess that's, oh, this is funny. So everything's going really well. I've just now realized that my keyboard shortcuts that I have programmed onto my, my little button device, it's called the Express keys. It's just the companion button presser to the, to this Wacom. But, they're all programmed for they're all programmed for Painter and Photoshop, but not for this program. So I'm going to have to spend some time off the stream mapping out, you know, what button I want to have corresponding to the shift control or something. And it's interesting. I'm making some adjustments here. Some of the anatomy, some like parts of what's part of what's happening in this pose feels like a human can't make their body bend that way. Not that easily. Like Samus can be a skinny, you know, athletic woman that can fit inside of a spacesuit, but she still has to fit inside of it, right? So there has to be some ability for her knee to, you know, to be okay here. small, what feels like small adjustments in the proportion just feel better. I wonder if this image that I'm referencing, because it's like super well done, I can't really tell, especially because it's low res, whether or not it is partially CG. You know, it looks like it's airbrushed over a little bit, or it's like it has like a hand finished kind of quality to it. But I'm having trouble. Some of the proportional decisions are feeling a little bit forced, like it's just sort of like a clunky 3D rig that had to bend in weird ways that maybe it wasn't designed to do. Like I'm drawing this foot and I'm like, where's the ankle go? Like I don't know if that works. I didn't notice that it wouldn't work. But if I'm trying to conceive of like, okay, I'm gonna add some things that feel like they make the pose a little bit more human. It's one thing to have like a non-human alien in a suit. You can get away with anything, but okay. I'm only going to go 5 more minutes, which looks like we'll probably not finish this off, but I'll step on the gas and see how far we can get. But I can still keep working on it. I just don't want to be distracted with the stream when my wife gets home. The best way to keep up the streaming in general is going to just basically make it invisible to my family. We have to make sure we're making the right sacrifices. This was fun though. I appreciate everybody coming in and saying hi. It really helps me, I think, to have a little bit at stake with like a real audience sometimes, because my mind responds well to that, like having like, oh, well, try your best because there's people watching. And I never minded, even when I was working in studios, it was totally common to have people come check out my art while I was drawing. So even back in the day, I didn't mind having anybody having a look. That made me happy. I was glad people were interested. with these low-res references, it's actually an advantage because I'm not going to get bogged down on a trillion small details and textures. I can barely make out what's going on here. So it stimulates my brain to sort of fill in. It probably makes sense. Like there's a lot of shadows in this. So like, what is the form that goes in there? Well, I just have to come up with something using my experience. What would look good there? Well, this will. Let's go with that. Badass Nintendo character, indeed. Boxer, I'm trying out a new... Boxer, I'm gonna hop off in literally like a minute, but I'm trying out a new program. You know, new brushes, new program, and it's going well. So this will probably be a semi-regular thing in the near future, and then probably make a permanent switch once I become as fluent in this as I am in the other program. That'll be best. Yeah, Clip Studio Paint. And I had tried this program many years ago, and like it worked well, except for like I couldn't find a brush that worked the way my other one did. But it's like, that's the passage of time. It's like, okay, yeah, I tried that program. It didn't work. But that was like literally 10 years ago. Like the program has been updated. They have new brushes. They have new tech. Like, give it a second chance. And boy, I'm glad I did. This tool will have, and it's like, okay, you know, this has a comparable tool that I can use now, and that means like other programs will eventually get them too. I'm not gonna be trapped forever in this abusive relationship I have with Painter and Photoshop. Escape. It's like a safe harbor. But yeah, me being able to sketch very effortlessly in a new program like this with some pretty, you know, just like right off the shelf tools, it's a great sign. Really, like and this is the first time I've used this program for drawing. You know, I mucked around with it to make, you know, a customized brush. Was intrigued with the results. Here we are. I'm testing them for the first time. I'm very pleased with this. This is going to be it's the start of a new chapter. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. I feel like I can hear my kids outside, so I need to finish up. Okay, that looks like a good sketch. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, I might do more to it later, but certainly looks cool for now. You know, if I were to analyze it super critically, I think I scrunched her down just ever so slightly, but it still looks great. Yeah, nothing here is nothing here a client would balk at. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I guess quick save here. Maybe I can. Do I dare play back the stream? See what happens. Let's line up a thumbnail first. Can I do full screen? It's like I don't know this program. It's like, how do I hit the screen? Is that the... Okay, that works. Metroid. Cool. What happens if I play this back? Time lapse. Export time lapse. Oh, cool, it worked. Nice. Okay, well, I'll fiddle around with that later, but that's going to be it for me. I want to say thanks everybody for popping in, and I will see you next time. Adios.